Good morning and welcome to Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. I hope everyone is doing well on this Friday evening. It's Friday morning. It is the weekend. But before we enjoy our weekends, we have got a massive show to bring you guys this morning. On today's show, we're going to be talking a little bit about Zirkzee. I'll be honest with you guys, Joshua Zirkzee, 22 years of age. Apparently, this is who Manchester United are now targeting, as well as Arsenal. So we'll be talking about him in depth. Also talking a little bit about more youth players who are set to leave in the coming days, with one of them being a little bit of a shock. So we'll, of course, be talking about that. Lots of other transfer-related news to get through, a little bit about the structure at Manchester United, and a little bit about who the new director of football is going to be. Lots to get into. As always, I invite you to have your say on all things Manchester United in the comment section below. And please do me a small favour, smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let's get straight on into it. Right, so let's start off with some breaking news that literally just came out in the last 10 minutes. And the headline is that apparently Benfica are trying to complete the permanent signing of Alvaro Fernandez from Manchester United in the next few hours. The story goes on to say that Manchester United and Benfica are now in advanced talks over a permanent deal for Alvaro Fernandez. So obviously everybody knows that Hannibal is about to move to Sevilla on loan with a buy option. Obviously Zidane Iqbal went in the summer to Utrecht, I believe it was. Amari Forson went in the summer. You know, the list goes on and on and on and on. I mean, even people like James Garner, he went to Everton, didn't he, for I think it was about 10 million. Alanga went to Nottingham Forest for about 15 million. We seem to be selling off all of our youth players, and I think that Alvaro Fernandez, the left back, is somebody that I thought was really, really good. Somebody who I thought should really get an opportunity in this first team. I think I don't think Malacia has really done much, to be honest, so far. He came in, he was pretty average last season, and then he's been injured since like July. He's been injured for about 6 months. Nobody knows where he is. Nobody knows what's wrong with him. And we've had to play Diogo Dalot at left back, who's actually a right back. And I think it's a little bit strange. Now, the only thing this points back to, as always, is money. United are desperate for money. They're in an absolutely terrible position financially. Obviously, Jim Ratcliffe coming in has some positives, but from a financial standpoint, he's not clearing the debt. And the amount of money he's investing is just for the stadium at this point. So, we are in this position where the only way we can raise funds is to get rid of some of our best young players, which is frustrating because I think a lot of you have said over the last couple of weeks, like, why is Alvaro Fernandez not getting game time at Manchester United? Like, he's decent, why is he not getting an opportunity? What's the reasons for it? It's frustrating, and it leaves me with quite a lot of questions to be asked. And I don't think this can necessarily be pinned on Erik ten Hag because, it's not Erik ten Hag's fault that we're in €1 billion worth of debt, and Erik ten Hag's fault that they've been taking dividends over the last kind of 10 years and all the rest of it, it is frustrating, it is annoying, but it's where we are. And I want you guys to let me know in the comment section, would you sell Alvaro Fernandez? And if so, how much do you think would be a good price? How much do you think would you be happy with for Alvaro Fernandez? I think for me, you've got to be looking 15 million. You've got to be looking around that type of fee. He's the type of player who I think if we let him go now, he'll go on to bigger and better things. And I think in a few years' time, we'll be looking back thinking, why did we not keep Alvaro Fernandez? Obviously, he's only 20 years of age. I don't think he's had a particularly good time at Granada on loan, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think he's been playing as much as maybe Manchester United would have hoped. He's played 14 games across all competitions, but minutes-wise, he's only played 563 minutes, which is about the equivalent of 5 games, so not really very much. Obviously, he came from the Real Madrid Youth Academy, so he definitely is a talented player. Now, the big issue with Fernandez is obviously his contract expires in the summer, so if he doesn't want to sign a new contract, then maybe this is only, Manchester United's only opportunity to try and raise some funds for him before he potentially leaves in the summer. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. There's lots of things that we need to consider, but I think it is safe to say that Alvaro Fernandez could have definitely be decent, I think he definitely could have been somebody who had opportunities at United, especially with all of our injuries, but we are where we are. Let me know what you guys think about that in the comment section. Keeping on the topic of youth players, we can confirm that Joe Hugel has left Manchester United. He's joined Burton Albion on loan. Wish him all the best of luck. He has just signed a new contract until 2026, though. So hopefully, he could potentially be the next player to break through from the youth academy. Obviously, he's a striker. He's still quite young. He's only 18 years of age. He has been on the bench a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. He's gone out on loan to Burton. We expect him to get lots of game time at Burton. Obviously, with the new contract that he's got till 2026, that does kind of secure his value, and we've just got to hope that he goes there, he does well, and he gets some opportunities, because I really, really want to see this conveyor belt of youngsters coming through from the academy and breaking into the first team. I think it's an important thing to have, especially at a club like Manchester United, where our youth is so ingrained in our history. The bringing through of youth players, and I think at the moment we've done our youth wrong. I know Garnacho's obviously broken through. I know Kobe Mainoo has as well, as well as a couple of others. But generally, when you look through the team as a whole, I think most of that team is players we've bought, and players we've bought for lots of money, and I think it does need to change. And but I do somewhat understand why we're having to do what we have to do, because we don't have any money. We don't have any players worth money that we can sell, like McTominay, Maguire, Sancho, we've just let go and they're still paying his wages. Martial, nobody wants. Like, all the players that people will be screaming, oh, get rid of him, get rid of him, get rid of him. Like, nobody's going to buy them. That's the simplicity of it. Fred says, the way we'll work, we'll get rid of half the youth squad to bring in a short-term loan player. Yeah. Daniel says, honestly, even my local Sunday league team has more actual strikers than United. It's horrible management. Yeah. I agree, mate. I do. Sheldon says, we need the money. We're producing good players, yes, but we should cash in while we can. Not saying to let all youth go. Who would he replace, though? Luke or Dallo? He's down the pecking order. Well, we have two right backs. We've got Wan-Bissaka and Dallo. We've got two left backs, Luke Shaw and Malacia. Luke Shaw and Malacia have been injured for months. Wan-Bissaka was injured for about a month. Like, surely that was his opportunity to get some game time. And I don't really understand why it didn't happen. I mean, we had Amrabat at left back. You had Lindelof at left back. Like, maybe he's not as good as I think. Maybe he isn't very good and we should sell him. I mean, it's a matter of opinion, isn't it? I want to see Erik ten Hag utilise more of these youth players, because I think at the moment, I don't really like any of the first team apart from maybe Kobe Mainoo and Garnacho, genuinely, and Rasmus. Like, Rashford, I don't really rate that much anymore. Anthony, I don't really rate. McTominay, don't get me started on him. Like, Onana, questionable, etc., etc. Like, I just don't see how Erik ten Hag isn't seeing the same thing as us. But the thing I always circle back to with Erik ten Hag is that I just think he knows that he's on thin ice. And I think that he picks his best team because the last thing he wants is, I don't know, a Bruno Fernandez or a Marcus Rashford falling out with him and him having another situation like with Sancho where, it's player versus manager. And then that would just be, I think, the nail in the coffin for him, to be honest. If he was to fall out with one of these big stars, he's already done it with Ronaldo, he's done it with De Gea, he's done it with Sancho. I think if he was to fall out with a Bruno or a Rashford, I don't think he would be able to continue, because I think they have such a presence in that dressing room, those types of players, that they could easily change the mood amongst the club. So I think that's why we see, the Brunos, the Rashfords so regularly, because I think he's conscious that if he loses another one or two of these big players, he fell out with Varane supposedly, Casemiro, like he's fallen out with a lot of these big stars. And I think that, from what we see from the outside, like Bruno and Rashford are kind of two of the main people in that dressing room. Right, let's move on to something a bit more positive then. Let's talk about Joshua Zirkzee. Obviously, very, very exciting player. And apparently Manchester United are considering making an offer for him. He's still very, very young. I mean, I say that, he's 22 years of age. Currently playing his football in the Serie A. Obviously he was in the Bundesliga, wasn't he, at Bayern? Now, there is quite a lot of competition for this player. Obviously, Arsenal are really, really keen to sign him. Oh, sorry, I got hiccups. I mean, he's had an okay season so far. in the Serie A. He's got 7 goals and 2 assists in 19 matches. He joined in 2022 for around €8 million. So not a massive amount of money. The figures that are getting quoted today are around €50 million, which sounds ridiculous to me personally. Last season, he got 2 goals in 19 games in the Serie A. So for all of those people who are saying, oh, Højlund only got 9 goals for Atalanta. I mean, this guy only got 2 goals for a team in the same league. So for me, I would probably say no to this as well. I think we spoke about Brian Broby on the show last night, obviously at Ajax. I think, again, he's another one that's questionable. Like, we need an out-and-out goal scorer. I think Rasmus Højlund is going to become that over the next 2, 3, 4 years. But we need somebody like, you know, on the level of an Osimhen, on the level of a Kane, on the level of a, I don't know, someone of that caliber, you know, a top class, best in the world, you know, in the top 10 goal scorers in the world. Like, that's what we need desperately. Now, I know some people will say, well, we had that in Cristiano Ronaldo, but I mean, I agree somewhat. There has been a few games where I've thought, like, we desperately need Cristiano Ronaldo here. But at the end of the day, the Cristiano Ronaldo situation's done now. There's not really too much we can do about that, is there? Max says, as long as Mainu stays, I'm happy. I would agree somewhat. I would agree. I think, you know, Mainu is our future. I really, really do like Kobe Mainu, obviously. I think he's absolutely quality. Glenn says we should bring in Weghorst, obviously joking. Yeah, I mean, that would just be... Oh, I don't even want to imagine that. I think we will do a signing like that, to be honest with you. I think, you know, a week or so before the end of the deadline, there'll be some shock news coming out and we'll be signing somebody. I reckon it might be Choupo-Moting from Bayern. I just have this feeling. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I just have this horrible feeling that we're going to sign Choupo-Moting, and that's the last thing I want. I don't think he's good enough. I think he is bang average, 34 years of age. He's one of those players that somehow has managed to play at loads of top clubs, but he's never really, like, you know, he was at Stoke and then he moved to PSG. Like, just let that sink in for a minute. He was at Stoke for, I think, a season. He left Stoke and moved to PSG and then went from PSG to Bayern. Like, it's bizarre. It really, really is. And I mean, he hasn't really got much game time this season, so you could see it happening. You really, really could. But yeah, for me, it's a definite no to Choupo-Moting. But let me know in the comment section, guys. Maybe you'd want to see someone like Choupo-Moting. Kyle says all we can afford is bang average. At the moment, yeah, but in the summer things will change, because in the summer we know we can always spend money in the summer. We'll be able to spend 100 to 200 million in the summer, 100%. We can do that every single year. So for me personally, what I'm trying to get at here is, like, spending 50 million euros on someone like Zirkzee or Brian Broby at this moment in time just doesn't really make sense for me. I would rather wait for the summer and try and get someone a little bit better, because I think, you know, Rasmus Højlund is already a development project, and bringing in another player who's not quite there yet, I think is a bad decision. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you say, like, we desperately need a striker. Just bring in anybody. I don't care. I think, you know, I know Timo Werner, people laughed at, but I think he would have been the best option, genuinely. I think he would have, you know, matched Erik ten Hag's requirements. He presses. Yes, he's not very good, but he's still better than Choupo-Moting. But that's just my opinion. Maybe you disagree. Obviously, we've got the game on Sunday, which is really, really exciting. Erik ten Hag will be speaking to the press in about an hour. We will talk a little bit about that on the show this evening. So hopefully we can expect to maybe see Mason Mount or Lisandro Martinez or Casemiro. Like, hopefully we see some of them back, and hopefully we can now go and put in a good performance against Tottenham and get that win. That's the most important thing for me. We really, really need to beat Tottenham on Sunday. Like, we have to segment that. Carl says Choupo-Moting as a proven goal scorer, I would take him for 6 months. I mean, it doesn't really fill me with much excitement, but I guess arguably he's better than nothing. You know, if you were to say to me you can have Choupo-Moting or nothing, I probably would say get Choupo-Moting, you know. His contract expires in the summer as well. Like, get him for 6 months, see what happens. I mean, he's got 2 goals in the Bundesliga in 14 games this season. Let's have a look at his stats for last season. I mean, he was literally playing at Stoke not that long ago. No disrespect to Stoke, but I don't know how this man has gone from being at PSG, sorry, being at Stoke and then going to PSG. I mean, last season, to be fair, he got 10 goals and 2 assists in 19 games in the Bundesliga and got 4 goals in 7 games in the Champions League. Like, that's a pretty decent return. So, yeah, it's not bad. But I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. I will be back later on today. Please do make sure to like, please do subscribe, and I'll speak to you all later.